Dick Van Dyke Show. Starring Dick Van Dyke. Rosemary, Maury Amsterdam, Larry Matthews, and Mary Tyler Moore.
Hello, Dick Van Dyke Show friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is KJ Ricardo. Today's episode is a look at the top 10 episodes of Season 3 of the Dick Van Dyke Show. We're moving into our Season 3 content. I really enjoy Season 3. I think there are a lot of great episodes. So let's get into this list. Starting with number 10, The Life and Love of Joe Coogan. This episode discusses a little bit about Laura's past. Rob meets one of Laura's former beaus while he's at the golf course. He goes home. He tells Laura that he's met Joe Coogan. She thinks that he found her old sonnets and love letters that Joe Coogan wrote to her. And so she's like, that's an invasion of privacy. But later on, she talks to Millie and she's like, well, maybe I need to let go of this past. So she goes to the golf course and she meets Joe Coogan. She finds out that he's actually a minister. He's a priest. So she invites him over for dinner. She calls Rob. Rob decides to invite Sally over for dinner to try to set her up with Joe Coogan so he's no longer a threat to Laura. When Sally gets there, she's surprised to see that Joe Coogan is actually a priest. And so it's a very hilarious moment. It's a great episode from Season 3. One of the best. Number 9 is a nice, friendly game of cards. Another great episode. In this episode, everyone is having a card game, poker game, with some new neighbors in the neighborhood. If you look closely, if you are an I Love Lucy fan, I make I Love Lucy videos as well. Do you recognize this woman? She plays on I Love Lucy. She is Marion Strong, played by Shirley Mitchell. She guest stars in this episode, and so you might recognize her. But prior to the card game, Rob shows Richie how he has this trick set, these cards that say what all the other cards are. And so this deck of cards ends up being thrown into this poker game, and it makes it seem like Rob is cheating, and the other neighbor gets really mad. It's a great episode. Number 8 is The Ballad of the Betty Lou. This is a fantastic episode between Rob and Jerry, which I will probably feature later on. In this episode, they decide to buy a boat together. Jerry has some experience with this. Rob doesn't have any experience on a boat, but they decide to do it together. Millie and Laura advise them that doing this might harm their friendship, and they're like, oh no, nothing will happen. But actually, something does happen while they're out at sea. They lose the boat. They get into a fight, and it's a huge argument. They kind of hate each other. And it takes Millie and Laura to resolve everything. And at the end of the episode, they come together like the great friends that they are. But this is just a great episode featuring their friendship. Number 7 is Honeymoons Are for the Lucky. This is another great flashback episode. Once again, I say this a lot, but the Dick Van Dyke Show does a great job with flashback episodes, really showcasing how Rob and Laura got married. In this episode, it goes into their honeymoon. Rob is serving in the military, and so he has to get passes in order to leave the base. He's not really able to get any passes for their honeymoon. So what he has to do is sneak away by dressing up like a girl. He has these eyelashes on. It's pretty great, and they arrive at this lodge cabin. It's not the best cabin, but I really like this episode, mostly because it's a flashback episode. It gives more detail into Rob and Laura's relationship. Number 6 is The Plots Thicken. This is another great episode. It deals a lot with Rob and Laura's parents. Now, both sets of parents want their children to be buried with them in this plot. the whole family be together. And so there's a rivalry between the in-laws. Like Rob's parents want him to be buried with them, and same with Laura's parents. And so they don't really know a solution. It turns into a big fight between everyone. Everyone is just getting so wrapped up into this when Rob finally says, why does it matter where we're going? In the end, we're going to the same place. So why does it matter where we're buried? And it resolves all the issues. It's pretty great. Number 5 is the masterpiece. I really like this episode as well. In this episode, everyone is at an auction. They're looking into it for some research for the Alan Brady show. Rob accidentally bids on a painting. He doesn't mean to, but he keeps like raising his hand to like scratch his head. Things like that you have to be careful about when you're at an auction. He buys this painting and he takes it home with them. He starts to scratch away at the painting, and it reveals a very famous painting, the pitchfork, the country couple. Everyone has seen this painting. He's like, wow, whoever did this painting covered up this famous artwork. So they bring over an art critic to determine, is this actually a real famous painting that someone tried to cover up? And the art critic determines that they had a Frank Sinatra painting. He did cover it up, and so it's hilarious with that. Number 4 is the Alan Brady Show Presents. This is the Christmas special, and I really enjoy it. The Alan Brady Show decides to do a Christmas variety show, and everyone is participating in this. Rob and Laura do a song and dance number together. It's very cute. Buddy participates. Sally sings a song. Even Richie sings a song. And so it's all great. But my favorite part of the episode is where we get the very classic I Am a Fine Musician song that the 4 of them sing. It's so great. I love it every time they sing this number on the show. It's so good.
I am a fine musician, I practice every day, and people come from miles around just to hear me play. My trumpet, they love to hear my trumpet.
I am a fine musician and I get lots of pay. But when I play my tuba, people throw money my way. My tuba, they love to hear my tuba. Oompa, 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 oompa,
I am a fine musician, my music is so gay, and everybody dances when they hear me play. My trombone, they love to hear my trombone. Da 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 da.
Children follow me when they hear me play. My piccolo, they love to hear my piccolo. Diddle-dee-dee-dee, 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 all our fine musicians, we practice every day. And if you'd like to join us, we'll show you the way. Come join us, just take a part and join us.
Number 3 is a 2-parter episode, so I'm putting them together. It's Laura's Little Lie and Very Old Shoes, Very Old Rice. In this first episode, Laura has a lie. They're working on their wills and all their insurance, everything. And Laura keeps pushing it back because she doesn't want to reveal to Rob that she lied about her age when they got married. She was actually 17. Because of this, they're not legally married. So they've been married all these years and they have to actually get married for real now. And that's what the second episode is. Laura gets a little mad at Rob because he's like, well, let's hurry back because I have to go to work. And she's like, well, I thought this would be like a second honeymoon kind of thing. So they get into an argument before the actual wedding. And so it's like, are they going to get married? But they do. And the episode turns out beautifully. Number 2 is Too Many Stars. I love this episode. Once again, they're putting on a show. I love it when the community puts on a show. Everyone is going to be involved. There's a new woman in the neighborhood who is incredibly talented. Sylvia Lewis is the actress's name, and she's so talented. But Laura is like, oh, I've always been the star of the show, and now I'm not going to get the lead, and Rob is torn. So eventually what he decides to do is he has both of them be the Gold Rush girls. They sing a song together and it's so great. I love it.
The New Rochelle Parents Council proudly presents the Broadway Gold Rush Twins.
Why don't you join the group? It's better than being a party poop. Obrigado, pizzicato, Guy Lombardo. It's the craziest when you noodle with the Doodlin Song. 2, 3, 4, like it so much, I'll doodle some more. Little softer, Perry Como, even softer, pianissimo. Say you love me with a doodling song. B, C, D, ooh, what you doodly do to me. Say you love me, really love me. Say you love me true. Say you love me, please believe me when you do. That makes two go together. Bet your boodle like the apples in the strudel do. When you noodle with the doodling song, what you call a real ball. Doodle-doo, 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 doodle-doo. I love you, doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Here we go now, let your boodle like the apples in the strudel do. When we doodle with the doodling song all through, thank you.
But my number 1 pick is, of course, That's My Boy. This is a very classic episode, regarded as one of the best episodes of the Dick Van Dyke Show, so of course I have to include it on my list. This episode is about the day Richie is born. He's arrived, but the hospital keeps getting the Petries confused with the Peters down the hall. And this begins to make Rob very paranoid. He's like, they're confusing everything. And then when people say that the baby doesn't look like either Rob or Laura, he believes that they have the wrong baby. He is convinced. It's so hilarious to see how he's acting like this. But the best moment of this episode is the classic, iconic moment when the Peters arrive and Rob opens the door and reveals the Peters. It's one of those great moments where someone walks in and completely shocks everybody. It's so great.
Rob, there are no series of tests in the world that are going to convince me that is not our baby.
Oh, honey, I don't blame you. You can't face the facts. Poor kid.
Oh, Rob!
Well, honey, that's probably the Peters. Now brace yourself.
Rob, nobody is taking this baby. Do you hear me? Nobody.
Or I think it'd be better if you went to your room. I can handle it.
I am staying right here.
We're Mr. and Mrs. Peters.
Come in.
I believe we have your Aunt Bertha's figs and you have Dick and Betty's flowers.
Mrs. Peters, won't you come in?
And that's it. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this look at season 3. I'm going to keep moving forward through the season just like I did with the first and second seasons, so you can look forward to that. Let me know what your favorite episode is from season 3. It's okay if your list is different from mine. We all have our different likes and dislikes, and that's okay. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. And remember to always laugh often.